Hi, this is the Sky Whisperers, Alison and Terry, and we're here today to present to you the astrology of the month of March, which is again pretty interesting. And Terry's just going to give you the highlights there.
Yeah, that this month also looks like quite busy, like February, and we will what the highlights are there. First of all, at the beginning of the month, March 3rd, we will have the second eclipse of the eclipse seasons of this part of the year. So we will have the lunar eclipse in Virgo. So we will have the full moon in Virgo, and then lunar eclipse in Virgo, and throughout the month we will have the Jupiter stationing direct, and after that we will have new moon in Pisces, and finally we will have the spring equinox on March 20th, and this spring equinox would be like Aries, the sun coming into the Aries 0 point, and it would be also the beginning of the astrological new year as well. And the same day, everyone would be happy because the Mercury will start stationing direct just after the sun goes into Aries. And after Mercury stations direct, we will still have time. It's not like completely finished. We will have a period, but still we can start going back to normal life. And I think the wrapping up would be like with Venus going into Taurus towards the end of month, and that would be the highlights for this month. So shall we start then with the first day of the month?
Yeah, we can. I just want to say about that equinox, though, and when we get to it, to discuss it, because that equinox, of course, is on that first degree of Aries, which is the point that we had that conjunction at recently, and
Yeah.
with Mercury going direct on the North Node, which is the destiny point, of course, for then I think that's something that's super interesting, and we'll discuss that, yeah, more fully later. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
quite
yeah.
excited about that actually. It seems like a whole going forward kind of energy.
So how do we start the month then?
Well, the
I
month starts, yeah. So we're just coming out on the 20, coming out of a Venus and Mercury retrograde sort of conjunction there in Pisces. So that's sort of quite nice. And we're coming through that and into the 2nd of March when Mars goes into Pisces. So we've now got the pile up of the personal planets in Pisces a little bit more. And Mars, of course, in Pisces. It's an interesting one because I always think when it's in personal charts, Mars in Pisces finds it much easier to act on behalf of other people, finds it quite hard to actually act directly for itself. Huge contrast between Mars, for instance, in Aries, where it's very much right, I'm going forwards for this. I always find Mars in Pisces, the idea of the compassion of Pisces means that Mars can act, yeah, on behalf of others. It just finds it quite difficult to just sort of get that Mars energy going sometimes on behalf of itself, which I think is quite interesting.
Yeah, but I think probably it could be also a nice break for Mars as well, no? After Aquarius, etc. It's like all those signs, and I think going into Pisces, it's a bit of like retreat and then
Sure.
slowing down, and also I mean like maybe sometimes it's like discovering different aspects as well, no? It's like, yeah, because the energy we can use in very different ways. We can be like, ooh, like this, and we can be that could be a different energy, much it's like emotional, much sensitive energy, and it
That's
can
true.
serve in different parts of life. So I think maybe it could be a nice thing with the Mercury retrograde period, etc. It's like it's a bit of maybe that contemplating about everything that has happened, etc. And I think like making all those, I think putting them somewhere in our heart and in our mind in better places. Maybe it could be nice as well. I don't know.
No, I think that's a nice description, actually. Yeah, so it kind of ties into the Mercury retrograde and this whole idea of retreat and contemplation and just like before the sun comes through to that equinox point and everything really is go, go, go again. It's just like calming down and reflecting on. on all the stuff that's we've been through the past year, because I do think that when the sun gets to that zero Aries point is when everything kind of just like kicks off, and then that's it, there's no going back at that point.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think, yeah,
exactly.
it's a good description. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
So,
then it's
yeah,
followed by the full moon. I'm just going to put the chart up actually. Have you
yeah,
given
of course.
me? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, I did beforehand this
thanks.
time.
Oh, very
It
sensible.
doesn't happen always, but this time I said, okay, I will give the permission already. Yeah,
Can you see that okay? Is that
that's the equinox chart, I think.
that one is, yeah,
March.
let me get the full moon chart up. Okay.
Yeah, lunar eclipse. I'm seeing it
There
here.
we are.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah, okay. So there we go. Here is the lunar eclipse that's coming up the full moon, as Terry mentioned, on the 3rd of March. It's at 12, nearly 13 degrees Virgo. So if you have got planets in mutable signs around that point, mutable signs being Gemini, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and
Sagittarius and
Pisces. Oh,
Pisces.
get there in the end. Then you will feel this full moon quite strongly. And we always talk about full moons as being the culmination of a cycle. So there's always a kind of realization of something that comes with it. I mean, it doesn't need to be a big thing, and also then the falling away of something else, perhaps. But with an
Yeah, that
eclipse, it's speeded up. This is the second eclipse, as we said in this sequence. So eclipses, we talk about them as portals. They tend to speed life up, don't they? They
yeah.
sort of big things happen, big beginnings and big endings quite often happen around eclipses, especially if that eclipse sort of touches something near your chart.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. I mean, like, especially if you are thinking that, for example, like looking at the lunar gestation cycle, um, so if you go 18 months back
mm-hmm,
from this, which will take us somewhere in probably end of August, September 2024 or something like that. Yeah,
mm-hmm,
probably. And I think that period, the new moon in Virgo, I think that was, if we started anything that is something like Virgo type, of course, more practical, more efficient, or there is something like that,
mm,
or we got into something to perfect something as well. I mean, or it could be something of our routine as well. I mean, but if we started anything that period, this would be the uh, culmination point, or like maybe it's the part at the halfway still, but it's like it's the point that I think we could see, like, okay, whatever I planted now, I can
right.
see where it is going, and where
Mm-hmm.
it reach at this point. I mean, so I think, and it's not like a normal it reaches point. It's like, wow, it's like a bit more like with the louder than we would expect. I mean, like we can say that, "Oh, okay, that's fine, I did it." It could be like more Virgo way. It's like, that's call me and this, but it would be like, it won't be like that. Okay, now you reached it. That's this like it's like a spark or something like that that could happen. So I think we should really think about that period well. And also it's I think in the Metonic cycle is again 19 years ago. I think there was still
Yeah.
eclipse in that period. So if you think about 2007 around March, and then what happened in the following few months later, etc. If anything, something important happened, it could replicate. It couldn't be exactly the same, but it's happening in the same place, in the same area of life for you, I mean, at the end of the day. So I think we can always think about all those times and see where we are now standing at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. The metonic cycle is quite often relevant, actually. So looking at where that 12, 13 degrees Virgo falls in your chart, which house it falls into. I mean, for instance, in this one, it's in the third house. This is just an eclipse chart for where I live. And just have a think about what might be kind of coming to its conclusion, or it's a harvest time, a full moon, really, isn't it? It's right. These things are now ripe. So what am I going to do with them now?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's really important. Yeah, so that's interesting. And Mercury's still retrograde at this point, and we've got all the planets in Pisces. So this could still be part of that sort of just reflective time as well as we're going through this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, with having all these spices, I think it's like also it's like I'm talking about all the past, etc. But it's really taking us to a past, to a place that we have been before, and then now thinking about that it can be kind of nostalgia or that kind
Mm,
of thing. But I think maybe all those things coming back to us as well. I mean, through this full moon. So I think it's a good, I think really nice reflection period, and yeah, we can sit and wait. And I think the don't get too much, I think, excited at this moment. But I think after Mercury maybe goes direct and everything, that we would feel the impact, etc., much better, and it can get materialized in a way. I think the whatever comes out of
yes.
this eclipse.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, and it's the axis of service, this one, isn't it? So it could be about helping people, it could be about compassion, something like that. But Virgo's as well very practical and skillful. So it could be about something that you're trying to build in that sense. Very solution oriented, I think. So looking for solutions, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So moving on, just a couple of days later, we find we've got I just need to find a nice chart actually. And so I just want to have a look at the Sun Jupiter trine actually that we have as we come on to the 5th of March, which is very lovely. Of
Mhm.
course. I mean, lovely in a creative way. It's in the water signs here, so Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer. So Jupiter's not quite direct yet, but it is definitely stationing, so it's quite
Mhm.
powerful there. Uh, and I do, yeah, I do just think this is lovely time for being with family, perhaps, or just for a creative project. It could be really good.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
And then as we come into the 6th of March, Venus, of course, is moving through the chart quickly, as she always does, and she's moving into Aries. So, what do you think about Venus in Aries, Terry? I mean, traditionally in detriment, but quite fierce, I think. I quite like Venus in Aries.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like I think as a starting point. I mean, like because it's like Venus is about what? I mean, it's like relating. I mean, the values and everything. And
Hmm.
as a starting point, I mean, if you would like to start something new, and then you need that startup energy for that.
Hmm.
I mean, I think it's a good point. I mean, I think it's like you need that spark. I mean, sometimes to take initiative to make things, etc. It could be like, I don't know, you decided there's something value in this, and then I start, or there's kind of art project that you would like to start, and that kind of thing. I don't know if it could be some kind of, I mean, a project that you might be starting that you value a lot, or you get into a kind of new relationship, etc. I think it's a good spark, but only that I think it's like it has to be contained. It's not like not getting impatient, not hurry up, etc.
Mm,
And then it's like the energy that is coming through is beautiful, but only that we have to know also how to keep going with that. I mean, because it's like
yeah.
that it doesn't fizzle out. Okay, now I actually didn't like it, or just I will leave it and go to another thing. It's not
Yeah.
like that. I mean, if we are serious about something, it's a good time to in that sense. I mean, starting point, I think it's a really nice energy, and it's in this chart, of course. It's already quite in line with our, I think, ideals, dreams. whatever that is
Yeah,
going on.
yeah, definitely. I mean, she's immediately Venus there, immediately moving into that conjunction with Neptune, which is really kind of dreamy and idealistic and creative, and yeah, dreaming about yeah, I was going to say dreaming about war, but maybe dreaming about sort of individualism, and it's quite kind of girl power, the feel of it in some ways there. But and then gets a reality check with Saturn, of course. Is this actually going to happen? Can we make this work? So, but yes, I think it can be quite fierce. And as you say, the energy needs to somehow be sustained for Venus in Aries. But um, I don't like the idea of her being in detriment there. I think, that comes maybe from the old kind of more patriarchal kind of type of astrology, and that women can stand up and fight as well, and fight for their ideals and their values. So yeah, so that's a nice move there.
Yeah, exactly.
And
After that, we are going
yeah, and then we're
to
just going on to
Jupiter. Jupiter,
Jupiter.
right? Going direct.
Hooray! So
Finally, now.
especially good for the Sagittarius and Pisces Sun Moon ascendants, because this is obviously the main ruling planet, the traditional ruling planet, the other one being Neptune. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Uh,
Yeah, it's nice also the day that it goes moon in Sagittarius, sun in, yeah, as you said, in Pisces and everything, and Jupiter is like dispositing both of them, and it's nice, and it's also in a nice relationship with the sun and still with the Mercury retrograde. I think it's nice. I mean, it's like going back to life, what Jupiter has meaning. I
mm,
mean, has having was having that meaning in our life. I mean, like, because Jupiter in Cancer, when it entered last year, what we were saying, it's like, it's in a way, you are getting that power from your past, the tribe, the family, or where you think that it's family, and
mm,
I mean, to grow, to expand, to have also a meaning in your life, you have to get that power from your past. For some people, it was Jupiter also returned, that they finished their 12-year cycle, and it's like, it's now after reflecting what you have done. I mean, know what you got from your past. What did you think about the tribe that you belong to, and the care and everything, that love maybe that comes through them, and now how do you continue the way? It's the halfway still for Jupiter until the end of June. What are we going to do based on
yeah.
that reflection? I think maybe it's something about that.
Yeah, I really like that. So like you've been getting this power and reflecting on everything that you've come from in a sense, and having and maybe the whole thing around the family, and now you've kind of got to a point and you're going to start to build on that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
and make it matter in a way, make meaning out of it. Yeah, create meaning. And tribe and family, of course, that doesn't have to be your blood family. That can just be the people you're close to, the people that you feel comfortable and at home with.
Yeah,
So this is interesting, and it's been there a long time, plodding through Cancer. As Terry said, this is the halfway point, and we've got just a few more months now of this before it goes into the much more individualistic Leo. So it's interesting how this is going to play out. I think it's still very creative, still very dreamy, still very thinking about the past, but now there's much more of a sense of moving forward from that past into the future, I think. Yeah, it's good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah. And retrogrades are a bit like full moons and things, I think, in a sense. You go back and you reflect on things, and then you realize that you have to let some things go if you're going to actually sort of take that
Yeah,
step now and move forward again.
mm,
So,
yeah,
yeah, it's
exactly,
good.
exactly, exactly.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, I've written down here no more Jupiter retrograde for 276 days. Obviously quite pleased about that. So yeah. Yes. And yeah, and then we get Mercury just conjoining with Mars there. Mars is on the North Node, so that's quite
Yeah,
interesting. That Pisces power on the North Node. And Mercury and Mars can join sort of around the 14th, 15th of March. So, sort of what you're thinking about and your kind of actions are coming together there. We've still got all these planets, Venus still in Aries going forward. What we don't have in this chart, of course, or or the chart at all
Earth,
really until we get
Earth,
Venus into Taurus is the
Earth.
Earth energy, which is lacking, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. For the moment, it's like Earth, and also, I mean, there is no
No air anymore.
real, I mean, the fixed energy. So we don't have Earth, we don't have fixed really energy. So we are like really have to make really a lot of effort that we don't fly. I mean, we have to sit, feet, I mean, put our feet on the ground really well. I mean, like when we are
Mm,
doing stuff, etc. Because it's like Earth is like practical but grounded at the end of the day.
mm,
And then
yeah.
the fixed modality, that what is it that provides, of course, sometimes you may get stuck, but most of the time it's good for consistency, like that
Yes.
stability, etc. And then when we don't see any of these, it could mean that, I mean, we have to make an effort. I mean, because if it's something that is missing, like you have to, that's part of the equality, or like
Mm,
that balance in a way. So we have to, in a way, bring it back to our
yes.
lives.
Yes.
And so that it means that we have to make more effort. I mean, like if it's like, that's a great idea, etc. But is it a great idea? Okay, let's think about it, etc. Or is it like, okay, we can go. It's fine. I mean, like, no problem. I mean, like, let's do it. No, but is it okay that doing it at this moment, or would it have any future? I mean,
Yes.
etc. I
Yes.
think we have to ask a lot of questions. I mean,
Yes.
to provide that balance during this period, especially.
Yeah, I think that's really true. And of course, now Mars isn't in Aquarius anymore. We don't have the air energy either. So, there's not a lot of detachment in this chart. It's all
Yeah,
very much, that feeling and intuition. As you said, kind of acting on stuff because it feels right. But actually, maybe you need to take that step back and try and ask yourself, yeah, does it have any future? Can we be consistent with this and kind of move it forwards? And actually, objectively, is it the right thing to do?
yeah,
In the wider society or in the more sort of global arena for us in the world generally.
yeah,
Yeah, it's an interesting time actually, this energy, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then we're moving on to the new moon actually, which I should have a chart for. Yeah, let's just get that one
And
up.
yeah, the third one.
So here we're coming
Yeah.
to the end of Pisces season with this new moon right at the end of Pisces. Another new moon at the end of the sign, more endings at the last sign of the zodiac.
Hmm.
Interesting times. And with Mercury retrograde still, but now stationing because ta-da, it's
And
stations direct today as well. Doesn't it?
uh-huh.
Or is that tomorrow with
And
the
next day, next
equinox?
day, next
Okay,
day
yeah,
on the 20th.
right.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry. Yeah,
but
so
it's nice. Yeah, it's quite Pisces and Aries. It's like, again, this feeling of endings and beginnings, that the
isn't
last
it?
sign, and then the start, I mean, the first sign, and then that transition. And also the new moon is also again like this 28 degrees, like, and some minutes. So it's like, again, this thing of like, party is over, move on, thing, etc. I mean, it's like,
Absolutely.
yeah. So I think we will have that energy of what are me. I think it. I feel like in the last 5 6 months, I mean, since the end of September, it's all the time like, we are trying to move on in a way. I mean, with
Yes.
all these, we are, yeah, with these new moons, we are trying to move on. And I mean, new moon could be like a uh, very fresh start. But I think these all have this feeling of, it's like, actually, probably we are ending something,
Hmm.
and from there we are trying to something new. I mean, it's not like 0 degrees energy. It's more like, okay, we try to leave something behind, and then we try to make a new start in a way. So I think that
Yeah.
transitioning thing, hopefully, I think by Taurus season, etc., will, I think, go back, that
Mm,
they will
mm.
start coming back 25, 26 degrees, and I think we will get away from this. But yeah, it's absolutely, of course, ending, beginning. But when it is in Pisces, what do you say, with new moon?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with everything you've said. And I think as well, it's interesting now that we've got the conjunction, the sextile with Uranus in Taurus. So I think that makes something much more possible than before. Whatever it was that we were trying to do, that we were trying to push through, when you get the squares to Uranus, things do look a little bit complicated and difficult, like they did with the last eclipse. When you get that sextile, things happen more easily. You still have to work for them, of course. But so I think this new moon with this sextile to Uranus is much more the beginning looks much more possible now. I do think that. And Mercury on that north node, and we talked about that a little bit earlier. I can't emphasize how important I think this is actually. Mercury is this figure, the god that moves between all the worlds. It's a real kind of very hard to pin down, a quicksilver figure. And I think there's very much something here about us still being able to write the future. I mean, there's a sense, isn't there? I mean, we talk about these symbols and everything, but there's a sense in which we're very much still the operators within this whole scheme of things, and what are the choices that we're going to make? How are we going to decide to act on this new moon, given the choices that we have in that moment? And Mercury on the North Node, I do think is saying there that we've been doing all this reflecting and thinking about how everything's been playing out in our lives sort of throughout this last year as we've had these big global shifts. How is this all now going to start changing and moving forward? And we have the decisions to make.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's end of that speech for a minute. So
No, I
yes,
was
I
when you
think it's
when, yeah,
important.
yeah,
Ending,
yeah.
beginning, yeah. And in a big sense up to us, that we still have I can't remember the word, when we can make the decisions, but I can't remember the word I'm looking for. So fine.
Mm. Okay. Okay. So I mean, like, yeah,
And
yeah. After that,
and
we will have the equinox.
we
Yes,
do have the equinox chart, yes. And I can't, oh, I might have already used that for something else. Never mind. Let's just put it up like this. And that was 1546, did we say?
1546. Yes.
1546 in France, 1446 in the UK. And the sun moves into Aries. So
And
this
we have an Aries,
point,
all in the air. I mean, like, all. But the interesting thing, I think last year there was something like that. They are all disposited by Mars in Pisces.
yes, of
So I
course.
think it changed the. I mean, like, you see Aries, it's like all that energy, etc. But the disposited by Mars in Pisces, which will actually makes it milder. No, it's a much smooth operation in a
Softer,
way. I mean,
definitely.
if we
Yes,
can call it like that, it's like it would be a much smoother operation, and
mm,
then it's like it will. It's like, I think in football there is this, like that, when the ball comes, you just smoothen it on the lap or something like that. It's like this. It's not like you don't hit, but first you make it like softer, and then you make the goal or something like that. And I think that has that feeling with Mars in Pisces being the dispositor of all the Sun, that
yeah. Dispositor
Saturn,
ruler,
Venus,
yeah. Hmm.
Moon, etc. I mean, you we will have still the new moon energy here. I mean, it's not like exact new
Definitely.
moon in Pisces, but it's a new moon chart at the end of the day. Again, still, I mean.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is still the new moon chart. Yes, all that moving into Aries
Yeah.
with the Mars, yeah, trining as well, trining Jupiter. So creative, compassionate, helpful, also spiritual. I mean, there's elements of that as well, aren't there? Um, And as soon as the sun moves into Aries, of course, comes into contact with Neptune, which is again spiritual. But now we've got the idea much more of the spiritual warrior, I think, with it in Aries, and the ideal of individuality and of moving forward and acting for oneself a little bit. But
Mm.
there's also a sense of taking responsibility, I think, actually.
Yeah.
Taking responsibility, and maybe that's linked to that idea of compassion as well. The sort of a responsibility for ourselves, but also for others, perhaps. Or maybe that's just wishful thinking on my part.
I think, yeah, that it's more like, I think, shifting the focus in a way. I mean, like, because
Yeah.
it's like Sun in Pisces is like, in a way, your existence is quite related to the other people, right? There's
Hmm.
something like that as well. It's not like you exist thanks to them, but you exist because you are happy that the other people exist, and you can be some kind of, I mean, like, uh,
Connection.
understand them, and then
Mm.
that they find that the relationships with them. But I think when it comes to Aries, it would be more like this. I mean, putting the Mars in Pisces away, I mean, it's more like you are stepping out from a place that of compassion, and then that
Mm.
everything is like directing to yourself, and you are like, in a way, um, saying that, okay, now it's me time. Uh,
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I've just moved the chart so that we can see that here now Mercury is direct.
yeah,
So has changed direction. So the
yeah,
period of reflection is over and it is indeed time for action. Yes, Aries is definitely very straightforward, very one-pointed. It goes for what it wants. It's goal-oriented. It's all those things, It's spring. It's like that energy of beginnings, and in the spring in the northern hemisphere when everything starts to shoot and begin and coming up, and yeah, that's that energy. And then the sun, of course, will go through in a couple of days and hit that Saturn reality check. Um, how good are your foundations? How well have you planted things? How is it actually going to work? Have you prepared? Is Saturn really, isn't it? You've got all these dreams as the sun moves into Neptune, and then have you prepared? And Mars is still there in Pisces, as you say, with the Neptune and Jupiter connection. Um, Sort of giving a fertility to it, if you like. I think there is a sense of those water signs being quite fertile and being able to sort of carry something forward in a quite a soft, gentle way, like you suggested. I think it's quite a positive chart in lots of ways, and I really like the fact that Mercury is turning direct, which I just feel is just much more. I don't want to say positive again, but yes, it just gives that sense of moving forward, doesn't it? Finally moving forward when we have that spring equinox, I think.
it will take time for Mercury finally moving into Aries. I think it will be on the only 15th of April, if I'm not mistaken, that it will see.
Oh, right, okay, could be.
Yeah, it will, I think, move only that time, and I think there would be still the shadow period after the retrograde. So, I mean, like,
That's
it's
true.
like it would be more like wrapping up, and I think trying to put our head around stuff. I mean, in a way, I mean, like, after
Mm,
we have passed all that retrograde period, etc., and then we can say that, okay, now, okay, back to world, and then what am I doing, as you said, with the North Node and everything, and then how do I move forward? And
yeah.
I think sometimes it's about like, mm, North Node has this thing of, in a way, taking risks, because you are moving something sometimes to unknown. I mean, you want to go ahead,
It's an
improve, but
interesting point.
you don't know where you are going actually.
Hmm.
Sometimes, I mean, it's like maybe you have a target,
Yeah.
uh, but sometimes it's like a point of unknown. So in that sense, I think that Mercury that is going out of retrograde, and it's like in a way that reflected all on that period and put those ideas and everything together could be really nice with the North Node, because it's like maybe still it could be unknown, but now then you may know the way forward better than before.
Well, I think maybe with Mercury there, then you have a guide.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
spiritual guide.
yeah, some
Yeah,
kind of a spiritual guide, or just I mean maybe even somebody who's guiding you, could be, I
yeah,
mean, because these can be people in the real world as well, somebody to help you, because I really like that, the North Node as being, if it's a destiny point, of course you haven't been there before, but there you've got that Mercury with you, which can be your own common sense, it can be your own intuition in Pisces, how you feel about things, or it could just actually be a real person. Yeah,
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah,
And the idea of wrapping up as you go through the shadow period and Mercury sort of moves back through Pisces, I think is also a really nice image, actually. And then with things starting to actually fall into place a little bit more and become more solid, of course, when some of these planets start moving into Taurus. And then you can
yeah,
see how things are going to play out in a more sustained way. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I really like that. Yes,
Mhm. Yeah.
good.
Nice.
Um,
After this, we have some aspects
A
with
few
this
aspects, don't we?
sun. Yes, exactly. Let me try to see.
Yeah, so Mars is making that nice trine to Jupiter just the following
Mm-hmm,
day, which I think is a positive energy. So this
mm-hmm,
period around the 21st of March all looks sort of positive and
mm-hmm,
creative and just nice feelings with it, actually. Good energy,
mm-hmm.
I think, around that point.
Yeah.
I think I'm visiting my son that day, actually. That's quite nice. And yeah, and then we move forward. I can't quite remember where I'm going here.
Maybe
Uh,
around 25th, etc. Because
yeah,
sun, yeah,
there we
that
go.
24, for example, sun was already
Oh, the sun
conjunct
with
Saturn. Yeah, yeah,
Saturn, yes.
yeah.
So that's kind of the reality check a little bit to just okay, putting the brakes on perhaps a little bit to just make sure that everything's sort of all the ducks are lined up.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So
Yeah.
it's important, I think, that having Saturn around the
Well, yeah.
Neptune
Well, in
at this
general,
point.
having Saturn around, Saturn is definitely important. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
we might
it's
not
like,
always like it, but yes.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
It's good to, that the authority, and then like having this. Okay, I think there is something wrong going on here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at this better or something like that. It's like, yeah, that also it brings that serious attitude. I mean, no, there is you need that. I
Definitely.
mean, yeah, it's
Yes.
like.
Yes.
So I think if you would like to run, run, but make it in a like don't get injured. No, it's like, yeah, what is
Yes.
your, you put your limits, etc., and everything, and then do it properly. I mean, in a way, Saturn is there to say that it's a different type of teacher that we can have it around. Like that's the strict teacher maybe, but we need that. I think in a way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, is it going to work? Well, yes. How are you doing it? Are you doing it right? Are you taking responsibility for what you're doing? What duties do you have to yourself and to other people as you do these things? Yes, all these
Yeah, yeah,
questions.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Oh,
And
I think we will
we
have
just
the
really
last.
wanted to look, there was just one last thing. On the last day, Venus is finally moving into Taurus.
Yay, Earth.
Earth
Yeah.
in the chart. Yes, thank goodness for
Earth in the
that.
show. Yeah, we will still be, as you mentioned before, like in the sense of traditional plans, we won't have still air. We have to
No.
put, I think, the communication at a point in a way. I mean, like it's like more, I think, rational sense of, I mean, communication. I mean, there is Mercury in Pisces, there is the communication. Of course, Mercury is there, Moon is there. Moon is also is the other communicator in a different sense. But I think we need the quality of like having that communication and like ideas and etc. That is more around. I think we will need that air for a bit, but I don't think so that we will have it very soon.
No,
Uh,
there's no
uh,
sign of air soon, which is why it's so good. Thank goodness for the moon that keeps going round and round and
yeah,
giving us some air energy every few days because yeah, it's definitely lacking here. And there is that sort of sociable nature to air, that the idea of discussion, I think, and talking about things and just sort of getting to the bottom of things through discussion and finding information and all that kind of stuff, which is kind of moves away from feeling and says, well, actually, what are the facts then? How does
yeah,
this work in real life?
yeah,
And this is something that hasn't been in the chart all through March, I think. It's
yeah,
been very much about how do you feel about it? Should we go ahead? Let's go and do that, shall we? Not actually, is that sensible? Have we actually sat down and talked to people? Have we discussed this through thoroughly? Have we looked at the contracts? What kind of, how's that all going to look when it's written up? So Venus moving into Taurus, I mean, Taurus is about the material world, it's about finances. Venus is very happy there, and
hmm,
she manages the finances very well. So that's probably a positive. And whatever we're doing, I think at this point will begin to look more sustained and more possible,
yeah.
at least without Venus in Taurus. So this is good. Yeah.
As if Venus is going to be carrying the flag or torch for a while because it moves into Earth. We say, ah, there is Earth, and then it will move into Gemini for air.
Yes.
But in the meantime, I mean, it's because it's going in the front line in a way because it's like everything is like that Aries, and then it's already in the Taurus, and then when it goes to Gemini, probably things would be moving already into Taurus, so we would have that already shifts, and then it will bring a new one into the scene in a way. Venus
Yes.
would be like that, flag carrier or something like that in front of the bands or something like that. It feels like that nowadays, at least. I mean, it would be like in the front line until because Mercury catches up, it will take time with that.
Yes. Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
So sort of wrapping up and globally, I think it's again, it's quite a big month really, I think, because it starts off with that eclipse pretty much, and we're looking at sort of the idea of endings and new beginnings. You talked about going back in the Saras cycle, the 19 years, what were we doing then? And also just the 18 months to in the lunar families, idea of the lunar families. But it's a month that's very much dominated by water and fire, which are feeling and intuition and confidence and going forward, and with things starting off perhaps at that equinox when the sun hits the first degree of Aries, and it's almost like somebody presses start, I think, there, and Mercury preparing there to turn direct and to start wrapping everything up. So I think that's a really nice image. But things not really being solid until we get that Earth in the chart, I think. And we can actually say, right, okay, the money's now on the table, or whatever it is. This is actually a real thing. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So it's a full
Wow.
month on, and we will have um, mid March again in astrology and beyond. We will have Leanne McCafferty
Yes.
interview coming up for the March, so it would be a nice transition from Sun to Aries period as well with the Leanne's interview. That was a really nice chat, so I hope
Yeah,
that
we
you
had such a nice
enjoy it.
chat with
Yeah,
her.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it would be really nice. And after that, yeah, we will see who will be next.
Yeah,
So,
exciting, exciting.
exciting, exactly.
Actually, we
So,
do have a great guest lined up for you, but we're not going to tell
yeah,
you right now.
yes, no, not this time. Maybe next month.
Next month, we might tell you.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
thank you all
Okay.
for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. It does make a difference. Thanks very much. And
Yeah,
yeah, we'll
yeah,
see you
yeah.
next
Thank
time.
you. Yeah, thank you very much. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.